Hey, what's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about how to do a cloth tear in Cinema 4D. This is a pretty cool effect, something I really haven't talked about too much in any of my videos, and it might be something some of you guys can use. So hopefully that's the case. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we're doing, and that's pretty much it. It's a pretty basic effect, but it looks really good for the most part. So you can see cloth is just kind of hanging there and blowing in the breeze. Just kind of rips apart. So let's go ahead and start fresh from the beginning here. And for this example, I'm just going to be using a plane. However, you can use any of these objects that you want to represent cloth. So like I said, I'll just be using a plane. I'm going to go into my top perspective view and click these orange dots to click and drag and make this plane larger. I'm just going to make it slightly larger. And then I'm just going to rotate this 90 degrees this way and this way. So the very next step here is to increase your width and height segments to, say, for this one, probably 40 to 45 would be enough. I'm just going to go about 40 on each one. Alright. You want to make sure that you have plenty of segments to work with, because that will determine how smooth your cloth looks in the end. So if you want it to really look like fabric, you need to bump these numbers up. Anyways, once we have that done, I'm just going to go ahead and rename this to cloth. Alright. And since this plane is going to represent our cloth, and next step here is just to press C on the keyboard with cloth selected, and what we're going to do is go up to the point selection tool, make sure our live selection tool is selected, hold shift, and then click and drag and highlight all these top points across here, and try not to do that like I just did. Once again, I'll try this one more time. Okay, so that's finished. So the very next step here is to right click on our cloth, go to simulation tags, and go to the cloth tag, and then let's go ahead and zero out the gravity here under the forces, and go to dresser, the dresser tab, and go to fixed points. With these points all highlighted, hit set. They should turn a purplish pink kind of color, and that indicates that if we go ahead and press play, actually I don't have any gravity applied, I zeroed that out, but if I go ahead and put like -5 gravity and press play, you'll be able to see that our cloth, that's basically our cloth here, and it's hanging from these points, so they're fixed, as you can see there. Alright, and nothing too special here. If we go ahead and give this a quick render preview, it's not going to look too spectacular or anything, but we'll get there. Now here under the forces tab, under your cloth tag parameters, you have all these options to adjust and change and whatnot, such as the wind strength and turbulence, drag, lift, air resistance, and whatnot. You go to the tag tab, you can change the mass of the cloth, so basically the weight and whatnot, the flexion, which is like how flexible and stretchy it is, the stiffness, which I'll bring that value down to about 60%, and your iterations basically is how when you bump this number up, that your simulation will be more accurate. So we'll do, like, I think this is basically refers to the steps per frame. The steps, how many steps the simulation is taking per frame. So if you only have one step per frame, there could be things in there in your simulation that are not caught during frames, and your simulation won't look near as good or accurate. So if you want a more accurate simulation, you can bump this number up to like 3, 4, maybe 5. It just depends. All these parameters are pretty self-explanatory: balance, friction, and whatnot. And then if you go into the expert tab, this self-collision, that's pretty important if you want your cloth to collide with itself, with other parts of the cloth. So if I don't have that checked on, if you have any wind or anything and the cloth starts to like touch another part of the cloth, like if it's folded over, it'll actually go right through the other cloth and not recognize that there's still cloth there, if that makes any sense. Maybe I can better demonstrate that if I go and play around with the wind strength real quick, and so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Alright, so if we look closely, let's go ahead and skip ahead a few frames. Alright, you might be able to see this a little better. The cloth is actually, like, you can see right here and whatnot, it's actually going through the other part of the cloth and it's not colliding with itself, if that makes any sense. You can see it right there a little bit. So I mean, it's not really noticeable, but definitely right there you can tell. So basically I'm just going to zero out the wind strength. That's what self-collision does. So if you want that checked on, you can check it on. You get a better looking simulation, but it may take a little bit longer to render. Anyways, going forward with the tutorial, what we're going to be doing today is making this cloth tear. So to do that, go to the tag tab under the cloth tag and hit use tear. And this is basically going to allow our cloth to tear under the right conditions. So until enough force is applied, nothing will happen, so keep that in mind. If we go ahead and press play, it's not going to do anything because we don't have enough force being applied. But if we go ahead and go up here to one of these objects, for example, we can just drop in a sphere, and what we'll do is we'll right click on the sphere, go to simulation tags, go to a rigid body tag, go to the dynamics tab, custom initial velocity, and then we're going to play around with these values on the initial linear velocity. Okay, so right here from left to right you have your X, Y, and Z values. So X is left to right or right to left, Y is up and down, down and up, and Z is back to front or front to back, whichever way. Your Z is your depth and whatnot. So if we want this to fly into this, we should just be able to play around with the X value here. So if I have this right, we'll try it. Sometimes you have to play around with this. I'll just change that value to like 500 and see which way it tosses it. Okay, so that was the wrong one. So I think we need to play with this one, the depth here. So let's go 500 this way and see which way it tosses it. Okay, so it tosses it the opposite direction. So I know I need to put a negative in front of this 500 to get it to go the other direction that we want it to. Okay, so you can see it's going towards the cloth, but that value isn't enough. So let's go ahead and crank this up to like 15, or not that much, like negative 1500, and press play. And I did forget to do something. As you can see there, press play, nothing happened. We need to right click on this sphere and go to simulation tags and add a cloth collider tag to it. That way Cinema 4D knows that this object is meant to collide with the cloth. So if we play it now, there should be collisions there, and as you can see, the cloth tears, but that is way wrong. Should not be doing that. So to fix that, we need to add a cloth NURBS to the cloth. So go to mesh, or actually simulate cloth NURBS, and then click and drag and drop the cloth under the cloth NURBS. Basically make it a child of the cloth NURBS. And when we play this, that should not happen anymore. Alright, so you can see there you go. There's a clean tear in the cloth, and it tears pretty realistically for the most part. It actually does not look too bad. Give that a quick render preview. You can see it's pretty cool. Pretty basic tutorial. That's pretty much all I wanted to show you guys today. Now, all right, guys. So that's it. That's how you do it. That's how you tear cloth. Now, if you didn't want to use an object, all you'd have to do to get it to tear by itself were to go into the cloth tag, go into the dresser or the forces tab, and increase the wind strength and whatnot. And at a certain point, it would tear automatically. So if we did like 3 here on the wind strength, that might be enough to get this to tear automatically. Okay, so you can see there, if we go ahead frame by frame, it automatically rips off its fixed points and then collides with the sphere and then rips outwards, which is a whole different effect. And you can see just how easy it is to create a new effect just by adjusting one value. So there you have it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Hope you guys can use this for something. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you have any comments, leave those down below, and I will see you guys in another video. Thanks for watching.